Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I am joined by...
James Walker.
On his crazy, crazy phone.
Yeah, going mobile by not being mobile, but I'm on a mobile.
But you said you were on mobile.
I am on mobile.
Crazy.
Yeah. Take that, technology.
So, what is up? How are you?
Doing good. How's it going?
Alright. Just chilling. Wondering why, the iTunes shop won't put on the latest Dark Angels, advent calendar thingy.
They're probably just being lazy. I'm sure it'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them not wanting, not having it, so that wouldn't make any sense considering the routine that's been going.
Yeah, but what's really odd is they posted all of the, they posted the stuff that came out after it.
Yeah, maybe there was an issue and they have to fix it.
Or maybe they're just like, no, pay the dollar to us.
No, that wouldn't make any sense. Out of everything that they've put out, that wouldn't make any sense.
It's the one thing they don't want you to go through them for.
I guess, but still wouldn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. But yeah, advent calendar's still going, obviously strong for anybody who wasn't aware. And I know I don't know because I forgot what was up for last year, but I don't think these things just go away. I think
No, you could still purchase a lot of this. You could still purchase everything that came out last year.
Yeah, so if you for whatever reason don't want it right now and you may want it later, it's not like a must get or go away, which is nice.
Yep, which is very nice. Let's see. One thing someone posted in one of our comments in 2 videos ago when we were talking about Draction, and he was saying how some films, there are actually some really good Draction films out there, and he brought up The Killers, RoboCop, and one other film that I never heard of.
See, to be honest, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe the new RoboCop. I don't know if I put the first one necessarily as, like, part action. Yeah, it's action stuff in there, but you know what I mean? Like, I just, for me, it wouldn't fit stereotypically, but the new one, more modern, the retake would definitely, I'd say, is much more action-oriented.
Mm.
But, I mean, even still with Dractions, you're not really let's be fair. Let's not split hairs with the RoboCop story. You weren't expecting anything super deep that is just like morally right, and that's just the idea of putting a person in a machine. It's not, we didn't get like super deep stuff like novels like Pride and Prejudice or anything like that. We didn't get we still got 80s cheesy goodness in RoboCop with an actual, like, it's more like a question to the audience. Do you think this is right type of thing?
I think it, like, I guess you could say in such a way, like, for me, like, at least with the newer one, I felt like, it kind of blended itself in a way where you don't really realize that the drama part is in it. Yeah,
but, I mean, like, I still wouldn't, knowing what I know about, because, knowing what we know about RoboCop because of the kind of the pop culture thing it's become, you wouldn't expect, like, it to have you wouldn't expect Inception level, like, thinking. You know what I mean? You wouldn't expect...
Dreams with the dreams. Do the robots actually dream?
We must go deeper. You wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't really, I wouldn't come to, like, when RoboCop was announced, I would just went, as long as the suit looks cool, not really digging the hand being exposed, still don't, but as long as the suit looks cool enough, and that's all I cared about, to be honest. I wasn't like, the story better be intricate and deep. I didn't care.
I was only concerned with Ed 209.
Yeah, which I think they did a very good modern interpretation of.
Yes, I would agree.
And, I mean, I do miss, like, the growlingness of him and everything, like, the more, like, predatory type thing it was. And I do, as much as I like the modern one, there's something about the classic Ed 209 I still like. like
it's so awesome.
It's just so. Yeah, I mean, I can't say it's so futuristic because the new one looks much more futuristic-y, but the old one still feels like something you would actually see in real life. You know, it's not like it's crazy. It's not like it's like a prop on strings. You know, it looks like you could build something like that. It looks like, I guess the best way to put it looks like the '80s interpretation of the future. You know, and like, for example, Back to the Future, when they went into the future and you had like those cars that had like a very similar shape to Ed 209's top.
Yeah.
It's like that era's take on future stuff. But it's something I think if it was capable to be made, you could see that design. It's not like a design where it wouldn't totally happen. So I really like that about it. I also feel it's a bit sleeker. Like, you know, it's not quite as mechanic-y looking because it's got like that hard shell on top and everything. And, you know, what I like about it from both films is that they didn't feel like the villain. You know, like, Ed 209 is not a villain. Ed 209 is just a tool. And in the first movie, you feel bad for it in the original when it falls down the stairs.
No, I love that part.
I always feel bad for the Ed 209. I'm like, oh, you tried.
So bad.
I give you credit. You tried to go down the stairs. You were like, what is this thing? What is this concept?
What is this thing called stairs?
I don't understand it, but I'm going to try. And then you don't feel bad for in the second one, but at the same time, it's kind of like, no, you landed on top of me, my only weakness. And the other Ed 209s are like, I guess we shoot at him still? I guess. All right.
Oh, I did like how it was like, crap, I'm too big for this. I can't shoot underneath me.
Exactly. I also liked how, you know, the Ed 209s, he doesn't, it's not really explicit. I don't know if it was just me reading it into it a little bit, but I felt like whenever he was behind the Ed 209, the fire momentarily ceased until they got a better target on him. Like the staccato of the gunfire kind of changes whenever he got behind and was blocked by the other Ed 209. So it's kind of like, don't shoot our own assets. What are you doing? But they still kind of did, because no matter what, they still tried to shoot him. But it looked like they kind of tried to get a clear shot, which I thought was a lot cooler than just screw it, mow everything down.
Yeah.
It felt a lot more like Civil Protection than War Machine at that point, which was cool. But gotta love an Ed 209. I mean, I want one.
Oh, yeah, I love them. He's one of my favorite parts of RoboCop because I just love how he looks.
Yeah.
And I love how I think one of the best parts was there's this guy called CinemaSins, and when they do that and the guy goes, oh, it's just called a little glitch. He goes, a little glitch? You call this a glitch? And the CinemaSins guy goes, well, yes, it actually is legitimately a glitch in the thing's system.
Yeah. And the other thing I like about the Ed 209 in the original was just that predator type growl it had. Like not in the speech, just like that guttural growl it kind of had when it arrests you. It's like, oh boy.
You have 5 seconds to comply.
And then growls at you, and you go, oh. And I also liked when it said he had when it said he had 20 seconds in the beginning or something like that.
Yep.
And then
I think he had 10 seconds or something.
Yeah, and then it stomped its foot down and growls now you have it's getting impatient. And that was fantastic.
That is awesome.
I don't know. They're just so cool. How can you not like an Ed 209?
Yeah, it's really cool when he does that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to think. There was something I wanted to ask. Oh, right. Holidays are coming.
Mm-hmm.
How are you excited? Are you got anything planned?
It's good. I mean, nothing really planned. Just, nothing. It's good. There's not. I was looking up stuff wargaming wise, and there's nothing past your typical. It's nothing that I'm thinking, oh, I wish I could take part in. Which is good, because the holiday season you're kind of torn. Sales or special of not the advent calendar is a sale, but special stuff like that. But it's not requiring ultra commitment where it's kind of you can do it and still be with the family or whatever it is. It's oh yeah, I'll order it, whatever. So it's good. I'm curious to see post-holiday sale stuff for like certain sites and stuff, or like post-holiday like shenanigans that's going to be released, because at this point it's, there's no sense any company kind of releasing anything now. Shoppers are kind of spent, so I'm interested to see what companies will do after the fact.
Yes, the biggest thing that I'm most concerned about is going to be dealing with the shoppers returning all the junk that they don't want.
Yeah,
because that's the next part about this that I'm ugh.
Yeah, that's always. I remember that as a kid, we went one time to return stuff, not because we didn't want it, but because we already had it, and it was given us a gift. It's like, well, we don't need 2 of these, so let's just return it for store credit and use it for something else. And I remember going once, and I'm like, this is terrible. Because I was a kid, so obviously, attention level way down. As a kid, I'm bored. I want to play with my toys. Why are we here? Kind of a deal.
Yes.
And, spending, 2 hours online just to get credit, and then not even trying to shop for it that day, just going home. But yeah, I remember those things for sure. So yeah, I can imagine that would be a kind of a nuisance.
Oh yeah.
But that thus is the cycle of retail.
It is.
It's like a circle of life. Almost.
Circle of life.
Basically. I don't go to hair salons really.
I would hope so.
I get my hair buzzed, so I just go to a barber because they're cheap for that. But what I remember as a kid, because the places that usually cut kids' hair was also did everybody's when I was a kid, and I don't know, do they? If anybody does anything with hair, any of the people scammers, feel free to put it in the comments. Do they still have that crazy hair drying bowl things? You also see the old ladies sitting underneath it, chatting about stuff with their curled up hair. You know what I'm talking about?
I think they still do.
Because it just seems so we can't do better than a gigantic plastic bowl to dry hair. This is as far as technology has come.
Well, that's all we need.
Well, we said that with the cell phones, and look what happened with those. So they're taking over. But it's so retro looking. It just looks like something that, because you see it in old sitcom shows, the 80s and 90s, and you see that Married with Children had it when Peggy got her hair done. She was sitting underneath it like this. It just looks so almost belonging in a museum. This is what we used to do when we were primitive Neanderthals trying to dry our hair. And it just looks so gigantically obsolete. You know what I was thinking? You know what's sad? I wonder how many, kids, because I was listening to, I forget what I was doing, but I was thinking, people growing up today probably don't even know what CD skipping is.
Yeah.
I mean, forget a cassette player and the constant minor fear it might get eaten every time you use it. Like a VHS player, especially if you have an older VHS player or an older cassette player and you put the cassette tape or the tape in, you're always like, please don't eat it, please don't eat it, please don't eat it, when it eats up the ribbon. But not kids, people don't really know that. And now people, or rewinding tapes. Remember those days?
Yeah.
Let's go back and watch a scene.
Rewatching, what was it? Let's see, the old VHS rewinders.
Yes.
And it just. I used to sit there and watch them rewind for some odd reason.
I did too, and what I found interesting is we had several because they would go bad over time. And we had one that looked like a car. So when it was rewinding, the headlights were up with the light, headlights, and then they would go down and it would pop up. But then I remember having one rewinder that was okay, but then one was super high speed. It was weird. And it was just, I used to watch them too. I don't know why. I have no idea why I watched the rewinder, but I did.
It's just you wanted to see it. It was just so amazing.
Yeah, it's like, this is crazy technology. Oh, but yeah, and CD skipping. What's like? Do people even buy? I know there's CDs in stores. Do people even buy them anymore?
Yep. Oh, I sell CDs all the time.
It's like, it's just funny because, I mean, Tower Records is out of business, like everywhere, right?
I believe so. Unless someone else knows.
Because I know they closed up all the ones, in high school that I used to go to. And then, so I used to go to Best Buy for buying CDs. And they would have they had the music section was broken up like, rap, R&B, rock, country, pop, all that stuff but it was like, each thing had its own aisle, basically. And I was in Best Buy the other day, not the other day, like recently, and I went to the music section and it's just all the music jam-packed into like 2 aisles. Because like nobody's releasing CDs really anymore as much as they used to. It's like, this is kind of sad.
Yes. I really don't know. Let's see. It is crazy, but like I do know by me, people still buy CDs, and I get that question every time. They're buying CDs and going, "Do people even buy CDs anymore?" And I'm like, well, you are.
It's like, ma'am, you are actively making this purchase.
I don't know if I should get this CD. They asked for this new CD. Do people buy CDs anymore? It's like if they asked for it, then why are you questioning?
Right. But yeah, it's just I was thinking about that, and you know what's like crazy? Because like you like Firefly.
Yeah, I do.
It's like 12 years old, 13 years old now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was looking at it the other day, and Serenity is like turning 10 or whatever. I was like, are you serious? I could have sworn I just saw that in theaters a few years ago. Like, what happened to the time?
Sorry?
It's like, what happened to where did time go? Because I thought I just went like a few years ago to see it in theaters, Serenity.
Oh, man. That's one of those things, like, I think that whenever I see the DVD set, you go, wait, this is only $20? Why? This just came out!
Right. And, there's still people chattering, like, oh, bring it back. And I don't like, no. I think why we enjoy it so much is because it's not. It's done. It's gone. I think, and especially at this point, there's nothing. Sure, bring back the cast loved it, and the cast are friends, and you can bring them back for sure. They do it, and I'm sure they do a very good job. I just feel like you just couldn't. You couldn't please anybody if you tried to bring it back.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be like the wow factor of, hey, it's back and people will watch it, and nostalgia lens would be on it. Then quickly people would probably find something to nitpick, and it would just, I think, ruin kind of it a little bit.
Another thing is like that, like a TV show just ended, Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
That completely ended, and they claim that it's going to be the end of the series and all that. And I'm just wondering because this is what happened the last time. When Avatar ended, they were like, this is it, it's over. Then everyone begged for more, so they made Legend of Korra. And they were only going to do 13 episodes. That's it. No, it's going to be 7 episodes. 7 episodes, and that's it. Then it turned into 13 episodes. Then it turned into 4 seasons. And don't get me wrong, the show was great. I like Legend of Korra a lot. I think it's just as good as the original. But I'm kind of hoping this time around it stays ended. Yeah. Because I don't think they could go anywhere else from this. Like, the first one, it was all about, equality, oppression, and standing up and being and believing in yourself and all that good stuff that all cartoon shows follow. And the new show was kind of more about progress and change and accepting changes and when a change is good and when a change is bad type of thing.
Right.
And I don't think they could really do anything else with the show beyond that. Like, I feel like anything after the fact would just be trying to beat the dead horse.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the issue with TV shows, especially ones that people really enjoy. Like,
Mm.
I mean, the truth, and it's not really a sad truth, is that shows have to cycle out,
Yep.
or else you end up with The Simpsons,
Yes.
and nobody wants
Or
that.
or like Two and a Half Men or
Yeah.
Mike and Molly. Mike and Molly is well, Two and a Half Men is what are those TV families known as? The ones that like just give ratings to shows and such. Swanson family or
Something
something.
like that.
I can't remember the name, but that was a victim of that, where they were going, we like every time that one character, the straight character, acts overly gay, and they make a joke about it.
Yeah.
And so every episode became a gay joke about the straight man.
Right.
Or the fact that he was cheap, so he got even super cheap, to the point where it's like he wouldn't pay 25 cents for a pack of gum type of thing. And I was like, okay, him trying to make sure his microwave never he doesn't have to replace it is one thing, but him being so cheap he won't buy gum is a totally different.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in the show Mike and Molly, the lead actress, I forget her name. She was in Tammy, Heat, and that new movie with Bill Murray, and she's supposedly on Bill Murray's short list for being a Ghostbuster.
Right. I don't know her name, but I know you're talking about.
Melissa, I think, McCarthy or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, if you watch Mike and Molly now, it's called The New Mike and Molly. You can what you do is you take every episode and you line it up with the release of one of her films, and you'll notice her personality mirrors the film that she was just in. And it's like they're just going, well, Heat was really good, so everyone liked Heat, and she acted all rough and gruff and crazy and out of control, so let's make her rough, gruff, crazy, and out of control in this one. Oh, and Tammy, she kind of had an eating problem, so let's make her have an eating problem now, because that's what everyone's loving about her now.
Yeah.
And, like, they're just making it where her blockbuster films dictate the episodes now.
Yeah, you don't want a show going on like that. I mean, The Simpsons is just a classic example because it's The Simpsons. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gone on way too long. When you're people who are doing The Simpsons say we want out and the channel says no, you got on too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, come on now. But
it's funny. It's that there are shows out there that we just wanted to end. Like, we just want them to stop, but they keep going. But then there are shows that we wanted to keep going, and the networks force them to stop.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's like, you don't like good cultured educational humor. You like fart jokes. No, I like the education. You like fart jokes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing that goes on. It's unfortunate, but it made me old old. I'm like, the show is like Firefly and Serenity are this old.
Yeah.
Really? It's like, what? I could have sworn like it was not that old.
Speaking of like shows and like their downfall and type of thing, you ever see the show Twin Peaks?
No.
Well, it's on Netflix. If you get a chance, check it out. That's if you saw the Who Shot Mr. Burns episode of Simpsons, when Chief Wiggum has the weird dream and that Lisa's in.
Maybe. I mean, I
where she's like, Chief Wiggum, don't eat the clues, and she keeps saying Burns' suit better look, and Chief Wiggum doesn't get it, so she goes, look at Burns' suit, Chase! And then the cop wakes him up and goes, hey, Chief, why don't we check out Burns' suit? And he goes, did you have the same backwards talking dream with the flaming card? And he goes, I'll drive. That was making fun of Twin Peaks. It was a show that they're re-releasing a third season that takes place at, I think it's 20 years, because it's been 20 years since the show got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a perfect representation of when the network starts butting in too much.
Gotcha.
Because the whole big thing is who killed Sarah Palmer in the show, and the murder of this girl is the MacGuffin that keeps every episode running. The networks were very angry that you don't see who killed her at the end of season 1. And the networks forced them to reveal who the killer was by halfway through season 2. And then from there, the show just kind of got a little bad.
Gotcha.
Because everyone now knew who the killer was, and they're like, well, we need a new plot point to keep everything going now. And it just kept going and just wouldn't stop. And though that has a new season coming out, I'm interested to see it because it ended on a very big cliffhanger, and they say that the real time gap between the 2 seasons plays a part in the series.
Gotcha.
So I'm very curious to see how that plays out.
Cool. I mean, that's unfortunate for shows when they do stuff like that, but I mean, it's kind of like, well, we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of like what we were talking about last time with saying how the Guardians of the Galaxy isn't like a direct tie into the Avengers stuff, and it's like, that's great until Marvel tells you otherwise, and then you don't have a choice. So
yeah,
it's like, fantastic, but ultimately not out of your hands.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like I said, I think it was just more of the director saying, please don't expect me to use anything that was introduced in the other films, because I don't plan on it unless I have to.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of like just a tie-in there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Another thing I was looking at is I found my Mech Commander Tactical Interface User's Manual, aka the book that came with the game to tell you how to play the game. Usually like inserts or like little like rule book, like instruction manual type stuff. And this is a pretty thick book. It's over 150 pages of stuff, and you don't need all of it. It's like a lot of fluff, a lot of like really going into the thick and thin of it. A little keyboard function chart in the back. It made me go, you know what? It's like, man, I miss those days when you bought even a video game came with like, you're lucky if you get a little like 2-page thing that says insert disc, have fun, okay, bye.
Yeah.
It's like, but like, I miss the days of buying the PC games when they came in the big cardboard boxes, and it was like, this is cool. It's got all the in-game, pictures on it. Sometimes the box had like a little opening front that you could look into, and you bring it home, and you open up the box, and you take out the CD, and it comes with this, this book, and you get to read it. It's like, I feel like that's people are missing, because everything is, 99.9% of PC gaming especially is all this digital download now.
Yep.
And you get like PDF or things that you can look at, like, like a digital art book. No, I miss the old, I guess the old days, but I miss actually buying the box. Like, I'm all about digital downloading. It's fantastic. Because, game prices are lower than they would be if you bought them with a box, because that cardboard box increases the price by 50%.
Yeah.
But it was just cool to open up and, take out your instruction booklet. And because PC games, they basically used to go all out and give you this big, thick instruction booklets, and they could read everything, look at everything pretty cool. And now it's like, I just think it's like, that's why I like buying the, aside from the fact that Blizzard does fantastic collector's editions, I like buying them because A, they're fantastic, and B, they give you get that experience of opening up this big, crazy box and taking out these pamphlets and books that you can read. It's just, I don't know. To me, I felt that was always a fun part of the gaming experience. Because it's kind of like, it's kind of like saying, here's how you're going to waste the next many days of your life. And here's instructions on how to properly waste it. It was just fantastic.
What I miss the most with that kind of stuff, especially in these like types of games, is the little story in the beginning that like goes, okay, here's what's happened before your game started.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It helps you. Like, it's great.
like, you open up Dawn of War, like, there's no instruction book. You're like, what the heck is going on, and where am I, and what's going on here?
Exactly. Like, and it's the thing I liked about, like, MechWarrior 2 had a big honking thing because it's a simulator book, and any simulator game that came out, especially in the 90s, had a big honking instruction book. But because simulators equaled big instruction books. But in it, it had a beginning story. It had stories throughout it. Mech Commander, beginning story. MechWarrior 3 book. And I have all these because you keep them because they're like mini stories almost. And they had these stories and they're dispersed in there. Like the MechWarrior 3 one is fantastic because it's done like an actual manual that you would get if you were in the military of that particular regiment for mechs.
That's cool.
And what's really cool is in the introduction, and I'm looking at it right now, it says there's a little like fake sticky note that's like you can't take it off. It's just drawn on there.
A fake sticky note.
Yeah, it's drawn on there and it says, "Heard you had some problems absorbing all this the first time around, so I thought you might want to brush up before we dropped on the enemy. Just a thought. Your buddy Dominic Payne, who's one of your lance mates that you command." So it's like it's like he gave you this book to kind of brush up on what you're doing before you fight the enemy.
That's funny.
And it's cool thing. It's like the introduction is all about like the history of the Star League, history of your regiment, history of the enemy you're fighting. So if you have no idea, if this is your first mech game, you read that, you go, "Oh, I understand why we're fighting now."
Yep.
And it just does that, and then it's kind of written like a manual. So like when they have a picture of your HUD, instead of it just being typed, it's like it looks like your own handwritten notes. Okay, this is the heading, this is the target indicator. I got it. It's like it's just
that's cool.
Things like that. It was just a little bit. That's part of what made MechWarrior 3 so immersive is that you actually wanted to read the instruction booklet because it had these little neat little things in there, and it's like, all right, I understand everything now. Let's proceed to kick some butt, and not die.
Yep. And nowadays, all you get in is a register your product, and thank you for buying it. Buy this other product now, too.
Yeah, and then, like, you get a tutorial mission. And it's like,
maybe, if you're lucky.
Right. And, like, I just, those are the things that I miss it. But speaking of myself bringing up Blizzard, have you seen any of the Legacy of Void stuff they announced?
No, I haven't heard anything about Legacy of the Void.
They have announced something on Blizzard's website. They don't have up the collector's edition box yet. Rest assured, okay. I'll know when that goes up because I'll be getting it. But it's cool because it's on the Legacy of the Void webpage. You get to see kind of like the cast of Protoss characters and Sarah Kerrigan and Jim Raynor because the main characters.
Yeah.
Artanis, is that? Yeah, because
Yep.
Artanis looks awesome. He's like clad in the equivalent of, I guess, Protoss heavy armor, and he looks fantastic. And in one of the cutscenes, he's got like, I don't know if it was him, but he had like the Zealot blue blade on his arm, and on the other arm he had a Dark Templar green blade. So I don't know if that was him or somebody else. It looks great. It made me excited for it. I mean, it's StarCraft. I was excited regardless, but now I'm like, ooh man. So cool. Because it had a little, like, the cinematic trailer thing.
Huh, that's really cool, because I haven't seen anything. And mainly because this, right now, Elena's computer is having some weird thing where, like, she clicks on a page and 20 million pop-ups and a warning page just shoots up. So I'm trying to figure out what's causing all this to happen.
Just, you gotta cleanse it with fire. No, but you gotta cleanse it. But on Blizzard's main page, it's like a link right to it. That and their unfortunate thing that replaced Project Titan.
Okay.
Because Project Titan's dead.
That's a little sad. Well,
it became Overwatch. And Overwatch is this was announced at BlizzCon like a month or two ago, or whenever BlizzCon was. Overwatch is basically their first FPS. It's kind of like, it's basically Team Fortress 2.
Okay.
It's like their take on it. And I say that because there's a guy who builds turrets. There's a guy with a heavy gun, but he is the heavy gun. It's like the heavy, but that's a robot with a gun for a chest, basically. And just there's a really fast dude who's obviously the scout. And I mean, the character drawings are pretty cool in terms of looking cool. And they actually have like a one or two. I know there's at least one like pure melee class, which is pretty cool. And like the way they're gonna, it'll be interesting to see how they balance that out and everything. But it's just funny. I was watching some YouTube video about it. Like somebody was like, making fun, parodying it a little bit, by saying because the Blizzard director guy is like, "Are you ready for something you've never seen before?" With the exception of Team Fortress 2, is what was like the voiceover, stuff like that. It's like, we wanted to make something truly innovative, so we made Team Fortress 2. Basically, it's a constant voiceover, and it doesn't. I mean, it's got Blizzard's art style. I'm sure plenty of people eat it up, but Project Titan went from being this cool idea of a next gen MMO style of game, like not like a WoW, but like being an MMO, not just a instance, not just like a Team Fortress 2, which is clearly not, is massively multiplayer, but it's not really an MMO. It's deathmatch or capture the flag or point and control.
Let's be honest. They start as some of even the team games though just end up being run around shooting everything.
Oh yeah, of course. But I mean, like you either you just kill everybody, or the map is to capture the enemy's flag essentially, or to control points while killing everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what MechWarrior Online is, but it's not like, it was never built as an MMO, so it's fine. Or it was never built to have, like, it was never said we were going to have, like, a story to it. The story is the Battletech universe, so welcome.
Yeah.
But Project Titan was going to be something really cool with story and not related to, I mean, Overwatch isn't related to anything either, but it was going to be, like, not related to any of their previous stuff. It was going to be a clean slate, next-gen, basically a thing to replace WoW, because WoW, as you know, is aging.
It is very much aging.
Yeah. And there's a whole slew of problems with the new expansion. Not really a slew. There's one really glaring thing that really annoyed a lot of people, is what they did with the level system.
Okay.
It's still there. They capped it at 90 now, or whatever, something like that. But if you buy the new expansion, you can just make a character at level 90.
Yeah, I heard about that. And I was like, then what's the point?
And the thing that's unfortunate about that is a lot of players really like the early content and mid-game content. And one of the things they added is, let's say you're at endgame, right? You could do, say, a mid-game raid, but it'll be scaled up in difficulty for your level. So you can actually, so if you really enjoy doing a particular raid, you and your buddies could still do it at max level, or you would like get leveled down. It made it so it was still a challenge. It wouldn't just be like a walk in the park. They made it, which is, fine, whatever. But part of the problem people were complaining about was, because MMOs typically, when they're level based, are all about end game content, which rarely ever really is there to satisfy them, because once you get max level and do it all, what else is there? That's why the expansions come out. But the whole point is to get up to that end game stuff, because the end game stuff is admittedly usually always the coolest stuff.
Yeah.
So the biggest kind of issue with a lot of MMOs, and WoW has this issue too, is, I've had it for a while, is the early game content, like starter areas and early game content and mid game content, there's virtually nobody to do it with anymore, because people just power level by their guilds and by their friends and everything to get to the end game to have fun. And then Blizzard went, it's all about the end game, so forget all the content we put in this game prior. Here, you're level 90. And it's like, well, that's kind of lame. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of level-based MMOs because of the level grinding. It gets so tedious. But at the same time, it's cool to feel the progression. It's cool. I don't want to say it's cool to quote-unquote earn it, but it's cool to go through the whole setting, explore because the way it works is you go from town to town to all the higher level areas, and you get to explore and see the world, basically, that they designed and put years of design into. So it's kind of lame just to go, yep, level 90 now, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, it's very, just like, then what's the point?
I mean, some kind of people were trying to defend her, like, yeah, but you don't get the items, so you still got to go back and grind for items. I'm like, yeah, but now I'm purely grinding.
Still level 90.
Yeah, I'm level 90. So all I got to do, it's a lot easier in that sense to build, like, sure, my items are probably garbage, but it would be pretty easy to replace that versus getting all 90 levels. So, especially if you're part of a guild, it's like, okay, here's a bunch of cool stuff that gets you started. Well, now no work involved. Now I'm, it's just, it was weird when I read it, and it's weird that it's actually implemented.
Yeah. It's very weird that they just decide to do all that without any issues or anything like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I never really was a fan of level-based MMOs anyway. I mean, that's why I'm glad Ultima Online's still around and kicking, because it's fun. I enjoy it. I have characters that I've made recently that I worked on, and it's just you don't have to level. There are no levels. There's a percentile system, and in order to become a better blacksmith, you have to you have to actually train and use blacksmithing. And the thing I like about it is you don't have to do, if you don't want to make a pure non-combative character, you can, which is great, because you know how with like a lot of the MMOs, it's I'm a warrior that I can also mine and make my own gear. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I get it, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, what happened to a merchant class? There are no merchant class because everybody can fight. And on the one hand, I get it. You know, I want to have you want to be able to have your cake and eat it too. You know, I kind of get it. But on the other hand, I really like Ultima Online for the fact that it's like, listen, I got my fighting character, but I got this character that really can't do anything except mine gold, or not mine gold, mine metal, cut down, lumber, and make stuff with it. I think that's the coolest thing ever. It's like, what's your character's concept? He's a merchant. All he does is make stuff. That's it. Yeah, and the cool thing about it is there's so much content for that. It's not like, well, you're missing out on the game. I mean, you're missing out on the game, yes, with that character in terms of not fighting, going to dungeons, and hating yourself for dying in one hit to really hard monsters that are tough, which is part of the process, which is fine. But at the same time, you're also missing half the game if you don't have a merchant. Because there's a whole slew of stuff that you do, like bulk order deeds, quests, things like that, for just making equipment. So I like that, and it's not so much, I'm doing this so I have decent gear. It's like, yeah, I got decent gear, but it's a whole another way to play the game. And a lot of MMOs now, it's like, well, there's really only one way to play a game. Hack and slash and spells, which I enjoy. Yeah. It's the merchant thing is kind of like, yeah, you do armor, he'll do potions, and you guys can trade, but it's not like you're devoted to it. Whereas on the one, you could conceivably in Ultima Online make armor and potions. It's like I can do all of the merchant stuff, and none of the fight, and have the most money because you can make a lot of gold doing that.
Yeah,
but yeah.
No, that was one of the things that I was always never a fan of with any of like the MMO stuff, is just, to be honest, in my opinion, in the end, you're just sitting there clicking, doing this same repetitive task over and over again. I could never fully get into the into the whole thing. Yeah. And what I also really hated was it kind of, there was no way to do a lot of the game by yourself. You had to be with another person. And good luck finding another person that will actually help you.
Yeah, especially with the level-based games. I mean,
it's like, hey, I need help with this dungeon. Give me all the loot that comes in the dungeon, and I will. And I was like, but then what's the point of me running the dungeon? Do you want my help or not?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I really liked Ultima Online about, because, for example, let's say you're running dungeons to A, get gear, B, level up. I mean,
yeah.
Because there's no leveling in Ultima Online, there's actually you can build up to legendary if you have a power skull, or a grandmaster if you don't, which is 100%, or you can go up to 120. But you can go all the way from 0 to 100 by yourself. You can train it up by an NPC up to 40, right? And then from there you go to New Haven, you fight their skeletons and zombies to like 60 something for all your fighting stuff. And then you go to like fight Ettins. You fight these Ettin creatures, you fight them to like 70-ish. And then from there you go fight Earth Elementals, or you can fight other stuff, and you can do it all by yourself. They drop gold, they drop gear that's, I should say not gear, they drop gear that's but it's good enough to do what you're doing, and you can get all the way to becoming a Grandmaster Warrior and healer and everything, and healing yourself and raising that as well, just by doing that stuff, which is very low risk, but decent turnout for gold and equipment. So you can do all of that purely by yourself relatively quickly, to be honest. And then you can go, well, now that I did that, I want to train up I have some room left. I'll train up chivalry. I stockpile all this gold because you got to tithe gold to get chivalry points. Well, that sounds like I kind of got all this gold. I'm gonna just dump most of it into my chivalry and train that up, and then you basically become really good, and the gear will come. The gear doesn't just come for free, but the gear will come as you get money and you get decent gear, and then you can start, moving up that way. You can have a pretty good suit and join the quote unquote end game pretty quickly. So it's that's one thing I liked about the non-level based system, because the problem, you can kind of solo stuff until you start fighting like elite and champion spawn stuff, where it's kind of like, great, this is meant for 5 people and it's just me. I'm gonna die. So I thought I could complete this quest and I was wrong. So, which is annoying. But I don't know. What's funny? Destiny is turned out to not be anything like I hoped it would be.
Everyone keeps talking about how Destiny is gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. I'm like, it shouldn't have to get better. It should be working now.
Here's the deal with Here's my problem with Destiny, and if you just say stumbled upon Destiny right now, you knew nothing about what the concept was. You just pick. Let's say you bought a PS4 or whatever. Or whatever system else it's on, and you go, you know what? I'm gonna pick up Destiny. It looks like a cool cover art. If you're going into it knowing nothing about what was announced when it was first announced it was happening, you really wouldn't have anything to. It really wouldn't seem like that bad to you. The problem is for players. I'm not a player yet. I will try it out, but like players, for people like me and other people who are players who since announcement were following Destiny, it was gonna be something amazing. The concept was something honestly amazing, and I bought it. Hook, line, sinker. That if that concept was even 50% implemented at launch, it would have been amazing. Like, the concept was really cool. So when you know the concept they were going for, and then you see how it is now, it's really disappointing. But the funny thing is, it's one of these games that people are constantly complaining about it, but they can't put it down.
Yeah.
It's like they're playing it going, I don't know why I'm playing this, but I can't stop playing this. And it's just, so, I mean, it's kind of a success in that regard. But the biggest thing was that basically there's a guy who can identify unidentified stuff for you. He's kind of like a Deckard Cain. But the biggest thing that was really dumb was they had him be terrible. Because there's like you play Diablo, so like there's whites, green, blue, purple, there's different levels to like gear.
Yeah.
So if you got like a legendary item, you could identify it as a regular common item to be a jerk, and basically make it so you went from having this potential awesome legendary to a really useless common. And that was in the game, and so many people complain like this is dumb. And they're one of their big responses. Well, it gives them a personality. Ha ha! Isn't that so funny? And then they patched it. Because it's really dumb when you think about it. It's like, how could he know? The game was never finished because the game was delayed, and it wasn't really Activision's fault for once. And like making the game come out really rushed like this. It was. Whatever happened in their bureaucracy happened, but something's not going well when the lead game designer quits.
Yeah,
it's like, well, we are kind of SOL now. So the game was released unfinished. Like the intro cinematic. There's 3 races. Like, here's the deal: there's 3 races, which the only thing that they do is change cosmetically how you look. There's not. There should have been things that would have clearly been implemented. Like, for example, one of the races is, I forget what they're called, but when you interact with his race or whatever, that race that you are for the first time, even if you're that race, your character gives a who the heck are these guys kind of look to him. Like, he doesn't know who they are. He's surprised at what they are. I'm like, but you are that race. How can you be surprised? You are that race. So clearly that should have been changed for them. But the whole intro cinematic is your version of Cortana, because it's basically Halo. Your version of Cortana, who is, they call him Dinklebot. That's like a joke name.
Okay.
It was Peter Dinklage. So they call it Dinklebot, which is not happy about the nickname. Goes, he says something like along the lines of, you've been dead a long time. Or you've been like, whatever, a long time. Which only makes sense for the robotic race. But it says that for the human, like the humanoid race, the human-esque race, he says that to you, but I'm alive. I'm not dead. I've never been. What are you talking about? But that's the intro cinematic for everybody because they didn't finish the game. So they gave everybody that one intro cinematic. No matter what race you are. And it's just kind of like, what? Another proof of how rushed the game was, the game lore is not in the game.
Okay.
Like how, I don't know if you played any, like, WoW or anything ever.
I played a little bit, yeah.
You know how, like, you do a quest line, or you figure out something, you visit an area, you read a tablet, something, you brings up a bunch of dialogue you can read about the story of the area. Yes. They don't do that in the game. What happens in the game for Destiny is you get these cards you can unlock, and
and then you have to go to a website to read.
You have to basically disconnect from the game, and so what you do is you get these cards, and then you have to stop playing, go to their website or something, or go to the app on your phone and read the quest logs. Like, really? Nobody's going to do this. Nobody's going to do the process of stopping, logging on somewhere else, and actually reading these cards. Nobody cares.
And the fact that, like, there's only one drop point on every planet, so you better hope that your mission is super close to the drop point.
Yeah, there's stuff like that, and it's just like...
And aren't, like, all the missions exactly the same? Guard that little, skeet-looking thing that's played by the Game of Thrones dude.
Dinklage?
While he does junk.
Yeah, basically, essentially, like, basically every mission, no matter what you take, no matter what it is, what quest it is, it's going to end with you fighting waves of dudes and then fighting a main dude, and that's it. But it's just like, how can you not have this story? Like, and it's a pretty cool, like, lore in the game, but you basically might as well make a novel for it because it's not in the lore is everywhere but in the game.
But the game.
It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And then also the way they did a leveling system was just not sustainable. You level 1 through 20. Is actual levels. You're level 20. No, but the max level is quote unquote level like 30 or 32 or something like that.
Okay.
But you're not. But you get these extra levels by your gear. So
what?
If you lost all your gear, you'd be at level 20 and you have to re-level up all of your gear to become a level 32 again. Okay. It doesn't make any sense.
I can get the idea of your body can only be so good and you need gear to make yourself better, but it seems a little like, I could understand having gear that adds to your level, but I find it weird that eventually you get to a point where your gear is your level.
Essentially.
That seems a little weird.
That's the thing, like, in order to get to the new level cap is purely through gear. It's not
I think
yeah,
like I said, it would be cooler if you could progress further and get up to those higher levels, and just like they had special, like, level up gear that gave you, this will give you the equivalent of damage level of a level 31 character. Oh, awesome. So I can dish out more damage to get myself higher XP later on, so I don't have to keep killing boars in the starting field.
Right, but like, to basically make this new level cap be based on gear that if you lose the gear somehow, you don't have, you're at your base, it is dumb. And like,
that's stupid.
Especially considering the loot system is terrible in the game, like there really isn't one.
Yeah.
And and what they did is, in order to get to this new level cap, you have to basically purchase the new level cap for your gear. What they didn't tell people right away is when you did that, it reset the weapon. Let's say it's a gun, and let's say you leveled up the gun. It would reset it to its base level. So then you can level it up to level 32 or whatever, however it works. But it reset all the progress you just made.
That's silly.
So now you have to make all that progress all over again.
And I also hear there are fairly big gaping plot holes where you can tell that's where an expansion's going to go to fill in the gap.
Well, yeah, it's not even that they're gaping plot holes. It's the expansion's already on the disc. Like, you know when you unlock this content, and you just download a little like code that unlocks it from your disc. It's essentially how they proved it by within release of the game, within the first couple of days, somebody glitched into the expansion zone. It's already there. It's already there. Like, it's not like they added stuff to the like, it was already there. So it's
and they put a paywall in front of it.
Yeah, basically, and it's just like, and the thing is, the game was supposed to be an immersive, kind of evolving plot as you go through it, and what it has a facade kind of like that, but it is basically 3 missions in the entire game with a whole bunch of quests in each 3 missions. But it's 3 missions to beat the game essentially. What they call, I forget what they call their version of dungeons, but there's basically like a few dungeons in the game, and then it's like random, like you can do random like bounties, and but it's random which ones you get. And the really weird thing is, like they got big name actors to do voice acting. They got Dinklage. They got the guy who played the Devil in Constantine. I forget his name. That's why I know he's done other stuff, but that's the best way I can refer to him as. And they got somebody else to be like the speaker or whatever, which is kind of like meant to be your main narrative guy, but kind of not really. And they didn't do anything with them, basically. Very limited content for that. And it's just like the races do nothing. The classes only matter for like 2 things, not even. Like, you basically, the classes, because you're all shooting stuff, you know, so like the classes kind of sort of matter for like a minute. And that's about it. It's like, oh, you can do this special ability this class can't do. What else? Well, that's really about it. Oh. All right. And it's just, and again, the reason why I'm annoyed by this fact, and I still want to try it out eventually, because I think, first off, the design of the game is cool looking. I like the designs of the classes and stuff like that. They look cool. Yeah. But if you feel this game is, if you don't really understand the concept of what Destiny was, and chances are you do, because this was such a big, like, oh my god, this is going to be awesome when it comes out thing, if you were like following it when that happened. But if you don't, like, if you can just do a little bit of research, like do a web search, you know, a Google search it or something, to read what it's meant to be, and then see what it is now, and it's kind of like, oh, it's like, especially certain things that should have, like, how was this not fixed in beta? Like, and like and then they basically take anything that made it, let's say, well, this is kind of exaggerating, but basically, if it's something that you're having fun with, that they didn't really intend, but it's not hurting the game, they basically patch it to get rid of it. Like, there's this one thing where you could have went to a certain area, which is kind of cheesing a little bit. Like, it kind of, you could jump into this little gap, and you can still get shot at, but it was really hard for things to get to you to do, like, melee damage or whatever it is. Which would, you know, hey, I'm a shooter, I found a really good shooting nest. Makes sense. But they patched that to put girders in the way so you can't get there. Just so you can't get there. They patched other stuff where admittedly really super cheap. Like how you basically exploit a boss to kill him instantaneously and make him run off a cliff. Okay. They got rid of that because that's dumb, admittedly. You know, people who did it were like, yeah, this is really dumb, but I'm doing it anyway. But then they patched things and nerfed things that people were having fun with because they were progressing too quickly, and there is no endgame content. Yeah. So it's like, it's just, it looks cool, the concept was cool, and it's really unfortunate that the way it is. And the funniest thing I find about it, though, is that there are people who just have the you know, their rose-colored glasses on, and they can't see the faults for being faults. because it just
Yeah.
they can't admit, I guess, installs, or they just don't see it. But there are faults there. But then you have the people who can honestly and justifiably complain about the game and tell you, like, honestly, yeah, this is a problem, but I can't stop putting it down. I can't put it down. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I can't stop playing it. Is what these people are saying.
Well, one thing that always baffles me is I've had some people like, oh man, I'm interested in playing Destiny. I was like, oh, and I rattled off all the issues I've been hearing about the game.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, wow, man. And, I'm still going to pick it up anyway because I hear it's so good and it looks so awesome. And then they buy it, then they come back and go, man, that game, I wish I knew it was this bad when I picked it up. And I was like, I warned you. I told you everything that I heard, and you knew this. yeah, everything you said that was in the game, I was kind of shocked. I was like, why would I lie to you?
Yeah,
about this stuff.
Exactly. When you have people like that, like, yeah, but I can't put it down. I don't. It's really weird. Like, it's funny because you have people, of course, going back, like comparing it to WoW a bit. Like, listen, if anything, this is just like how WoW was launched, buggy and full of problems. But it's just like you have people going, oh, give it. And the funniest thing is, they still refuse to call themselves an MMO. They make up.
Oh, yeah.
They make up all these other titles for it. So it's like you're an MMO. Well, no, we're a massive first-person shooter, story-driven saga. So you're an MMO. Well, not really. See, we're actually because they don't want to classify themselves as an MMO for whatever reason. One of the big reasons is because MMO have content.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like, oh, it's an online shooter game that has a leveling system. But you're not an MMO, but you can play with everyone, and you kind of need an internet connection to get the full immersion of the game, but it's not an MMO. There's multiple people playing this game online at the same time, but it's not an MMO. It's like, you just used every word in the MMO title to describe your game.
Yeah, it's a massive online community of gamers to get the multiplayer experience in a first-person shooter that's story-driven with levels. So an MMO. No. What we are is this massively online game where it's story-driven. Like, there's a whole big story, like, epic, supposed to be epic, but it's not. Story thing with the Traveler, with like a sick globe god thing. And it's, but you need players because you have dungeons and raids that we do. Online, multiplayerly, it's massive.
And it's a game.
It's a game, that you play online with a lot of people, and it's level-based and story-driven, and it's not just a deathmatch. So with an MMO, no, you're not getting the picture here.
It's like every time the word MMO comes up, they like shut everyone down. Shh. Ignore that guy. Put him in the corner.
Basically, and it's just if it just came out and said, "Yeah, we're really kind of blah MMO right now," people will be like, "Thank you for being honest." It's about time. And it's funny because they're doing kind of the exact opposite of what Piranha Games is doing. PGI for MechWarrior Online. Like, they went independent. They got rid of their publisher or whatever it is. Like, I forget when, because of issues. But the thing is, they're responding positively. It's like they were like when content and patches get or like the mechs get released, they're getting released. They listen to community feedback, and there was one mech that came out that had a real big problem. One of its hitbox for its center torso was way too big. So basically, the joke was, I can shoot on the opposite way of the map, and I'll still hit the center torso of that mech. Like, that's the joke. It's like, man, I could, here's the mech, I'm going to shoot in the opposite direction, and I still kill him. It's like, that's how big the center torso hitbox was, basically. Like, you could, and it's been proven, because I've done it to the enemy, and the enemy's done it to me. They shoot me in the leg, and my center torso got hit.
Oh, wow.
Basically, like, they shoot me in the upper leg, and it hits the center torso. So it was a problem, and it was funny. It was really, it was one of the bigger problems I had recently, and people were like, how did you not catch this? And it's like, but within 48 hours, they patched it. They went, okay, we heard you guys. We're working on it. Here's a quick fix. It's fixed.
That's cool.
And people are like, thank you, PGI, for your quick response. And, like, people shouldn't have been using the language they were using and how to convey their concern to you. But thank you for listening and actually fixing it quickly. Like they had another thing was a hot fix for weapon hit registry. So it didn't even require a patch. It was just a hot fix that they could fix behind the scenes, and everything worked all honky dory. And people were like, "Oh, thank you." And then like they had patches. Okay, we're going to release this mech on December 16th. Was one of the mechs they had, the last mech they were going to release for like the current Clan Wave Pack, Clan Pack 2.
Okay.
Like it's slate to come out at this time. And then they went. They went. You know what? It's December 9th. We're going to release it now. And people were like, "Oh, okay, mech sooner, fantastic!" And it was just like they're basically doing all the right moves, where Bungie and Destiny is doing all the wrong moves. And it's like, it's like it's just funny because on the one hand, I have active experience because I'm playing MechWarrior Online with a company that's doing all the right stuff and listening to their player base and making changes that aren't not just to satisfy people whining, but making legitimate changes based on feedback. And then you have Destiny where it's like, they're enjoying this, make it stop this instant. It's just, what do you mean they're having fun at this content? No. But it does look cool. I can't say it doesn't. The concept's really cool, and I know going in it's gonna be issues, but I want to at least try it because when it comes to certain games, even Superman 64, you really have to experience sometimes. Like I wouldn't recommend more than 5 minutes with Superman 64, though. I wouldn't. I would just say load up start the first mission and then turn it off. Like that's my recommendation for that. But I'm not saying Destiny is the level of Superman 64. What I am saying though is that it's nowhere near what the concept for the game was upon announcement, which is unfortunate. Like that's one of the things that I think if you're gonna make an announcement and you go on to say, and especially if you're gonna harp on what you're gonna do, you better deliver. Like you better deliver. And if you're not going to deliver, take 10 years like Blizzard did and make it deliver. Follow the Blizzard approach. Take forever to do anything, but make it good on release. Not good as in like perfect, but make it be something that people like to play on release.
Yeah. So with that, we are running out of time, and so we're going to have to get going, but thank you all for listening, and before we go off, I'd just like to say happy holidays to all of our fearless gamers out there. Yes, enjoy it. If you got snow, cool. If you got like 13,000 feet of snow, sorry. And if you haven't submitted yet, there's still time to partake in our painting contest. You can check out the video. It's on our main page on our YouTube channel. And give it a look-see and see you could win an $80 gift card to the War Store, which is not something to shake a stick at. Yeah, they bring the war to your door for less. Yes. So, that is all for right now. Until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet. Chance the Wildcard. Saying take care. Peace.